Hey everyone, Rayo here, and today I'm starting a new sort of video series called Stat Chat. Stat Chat will be an ongoing discussion in the form of episodes about what builds are viable for different aspects of the game and how they are viable. This is a discussion I would like you all to participate in. I encourage you to think creatively about what builds can be used in different scenarios like dungeons, fractals, world versus world, roaming and zerging, raids, etc. I would like to start off this discussion by talking generally about the meta. Guild Wars 2 has many different stat sets. Each class is capable of pulling off multiple roles such as condition damage, power damage, utility, tanking, and healing, but as with any game, there are certain professions and builds that are best for different scenarios. What this is called is the meta. The meta brings a certain standard to the game, which causes a vast amount of players to gravitate to maybe one or two different builds for a class in order to accomplish things efficiently. While there is nothing wrong with that sort of play, this makes it easy to overlook different types of builds that are available within the game, some of which could be fun to play. And while these overlooked builds may not always be optimal, there are plenty that are still viable and very effective. The metagame brings up controversy in terms of playing how you want to play versus playing what's best for the group. What's great is that Guild Wars 2 is a game directed at the casual player with content for those who desire to play more organized. This sounds ideal on the outside, but within the game there's an ongoing debate between meta and non-meta players. A disagreement is no big deal of course, but in enough cases that I've personally witnessed, some players on either end of the argument decide to belittle the other due to their opposing view, and that is not healthy for the community. The general argument is this. People play games to enjoy themselves. Games like Guild Wars 2 are built with incredible graphics, a storyline, 9 different professions, varying armor sets and skill trees, and now in modern day Guild Wars 2 you have elite specializations, which means there's pretty much 3 different classes within each profession. On top of this, there's also structured PvP, player versus environment, and world versus world sections of the game. There are also sub-aspects to each of these such as zerging and roaming in world versus world, ranked, unranked, and personal rooms in PvP, and map completion, meta events, leveling, masteries, dungeons, fractals, and raids in PvE. With all those things being listed, there's so much potential for build diversity. Though with most anything, there are some things that just simply work best. For example, the Chronomancer, which is the elite Mesmer spec from Heart of Thorns, serves the ideal tanking role in a raid group. With this class, you not only tank the boss, but you can provide party-wide quickness to help your party attack faster, and also Alacrity, which shortens the group's skill cooldowns by 33%, making the overall DPS, which is damage per second, of your group higher. You serve 2 roles in a group for the price of 1 party slot. Another example is the Phalanx Strength Warrior, aka the PS Warrior. The main role of this class is to provide 25 stacks of might to your party. Might is a boon that gives 30 power and condition damage per stack. 30 damage times 25 stacks is 750 bonus power and condition damage. There are a few classes that can stack up to 25 might, but the PS Warrior is the best class for the job because not only can you boost to 25 might with ease compared to other classes, you can upkeep that 25 might consistently and much easier, all the while providing good damage. In a typical MMO, you'd expect a heavy class such as a warrior or a guardian to be a tank against hard-hitting bosses, but that isn't necessarily the case in Guild Wars 2. Although it is possible, it is not widely accepted in the endgame content such as raids. There are very good reasons for this. The Mesmer in Guild Wars 2 is capable of mitigating the boss damage on themselves and the group, while also boosting the offensive capabilities of the group. Compared to a Guardian, Guardians have a lot of healing and blocks, but they provide no offensive bonus to your group. In this example, the Guardian covers the tanking role, while the Mesmer can cover not only the tanking role, but a utility role that provides group-wide DPS boosts, which is crucial in endgame content such as raids due to the enrage timer mechanic. All that being said though, you can still tank the Veil Guardian on a Guardian class and have a successful run. You do not need a Mesmer to tank for your group, but as I mentioned earlier, this is not widely accepted. You'll typically be rejected from a group for not running the most optimal class for the position that you're trying to fill unless you're running with friends or somewhat like-minded players. This is where the discussion between meta and non-meta begins. Although I use raids in this example, this can also be found in structured player versus player and Fractals of the Mists. As I previously mentioned, there's no issue with disagreement, but there's an issue with how it is handled when it is handled poorly. To understand the non-meta side of things, the ultimate goal of any game is to enjoy it. Continuing with the Guardian and the Mesmer example, these two professions are completely different. They're different armor classes for one, they have completely different playstyles and class mechanics, and honestly, the Mesmer is a pretty unique profession, and I myself find it hard to use effectively. It's a pretty complicated class for me. Guardian is much easier for me to understand, and Guardians do have the potential to provide great damage, and it can also fill a tank role if the party needed it. but in most cases, the only build that will be accepted is the DPS role from my Guardian. Although I may prefer to tank, I can deal with the DPS role no problem. It's on the same profession, and I have a good understanding of how the class works, but where the problem can thicken is when there's another profession, such as the Ellie, that becomes available that can statistically fill my role better than I can, assuming we both know our DPS rotations in and out. In this situation, a squad leader has the ability to kick me so that the group can benefit from higher overall DPS, making the time spent fighting the boss shorter. Should I be kicked, it would be statistically understandable. If everyone knows mechanics, if everyone knows how to use their class as best as it can possibly be used, why not choose the party composition that provides the highest damage output? The answer is that it's simply not fun for everyone. You can dress up that side of the argument however you want, but that's the bare bones of the argument if you're looking to play this game for enjoyment. Not everyone watches DPS rotations online, not everyone follows meta battle or quantify. There's a great amount of players who just enjoy figuring things out as if they've never been figured out before. And what's great about Guild Wars 2 is that people who play like this can still prevail at endgame content. Although people may not verbally tell you that you can't succeed like this, the instant kicks and the majority of group listings searching for experienced members only and kill proof make it a bit difficult to break the mold. Now to give some insight on my stance, I am typically a meta-based player. Although I play meta, I know that the way you play and understanding mechanics overpowers what gear you use to an extent. Using PvP for this example, being a meta player makes you predictable, and if all you understand are the meta builds posted on popular sites like Meta Battle, then you won't get the full understanding of what you, your team, or the opposing team is capable of. I just watched a video of someone playing Condi Revenant Bunker. Overall, he hit like a wet noodle compared to the full-out Condi damage Revenant meta, but his sustain is what carried the team to a win. He spent a majority of the game on his home point outnumbered 2v1 by the enemy team, which allowed his team to effectively play 4v3 most of the time. Instead of insulting him, his team worked with what he offered and they were successful. This video was inspired by a suggestion made by someone on YouTube who asked my opinion on what stat sets I think work best in different aspects of the game. I wanted to start off this series with this discussion because this specific topic is typically discussed in a colorblind manner, i.e. one side saying just learn the meta and the other side calling the others meta-Nazis or elitist. Neither of these statements hold true value. All they do is create an issue out of a topic that shouldn't be anything other than just a discussion about play preference and the benefits to each play preference. I believe the core of playing a game for anyone is to enjoy it. Every player finds enjoyment out of different things. Some love to grind, some love to speed clear, some like to sightsee, and that's all acceptable. A community takes different types of people to work, and something we all have in common is that we chose to play Guild Wars 2 over all the other MMOs that exist. That being said, I ask that if you want to participate in this discussion, please just be respectful. So to kick off this discussion, I'd like to ask you, what is your stance on the meta? Do you like it? Dislike it? Could you care less? Let me know what your stance is in the comments. Feel free to elaborate on your stance as well. The stance I'm most familiar with is my own because I'm with myself every single day, so I'm intrigued to hear different points of view. Make sure to subscribe if you want to keep up with the discussion as well. Lastly, you'll see that I have affiliate links within the video description. If you're looking to get into Guild Wars 2 or buy an expansion, these links are available to use. They're of no extra cost to you. Your purchase goes to support my channel, which I would greatly appreciate. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm Rayo, and I'll see you in my next video.